Hi, I'm James and welcome to the review of the Perry Miniatures British Infantry for Afghanistan and the Sudan, which is a companion to the review of the Zulu War British. One question I was asked with the Zulu War figures in my review there was, are these compatible? And while the figures and the parts are, mainly, there are a couple of key differences. If you notice the excellent illustration by Peter Dennis here, you can see the figures are wearing puttees, which weren't worn unfortunately in the Zulu War. They're also wearing the khaki jackets, which miss the decorations at the end of the sleeves. However, there are a couple of occasions where figures in the khaki and red coats actually fought alongside each other. So there are some possibilities. Let's start looking at the contents. Now you get 5 of the infantry sprues, giving you a total of 30 infantry figures on them. Now they're quite nicely cast. I've done a close-up there so you can see just how crisp the casting is on one of the bodies. There's a selection of heads. There's 2 main types. You've got 5 heads with the covered helmet and 5 with the helmet with the puggaree worn around it. It does explain in the notes which is for which campaign. There's also one wearing the Glengarry and one bare head. So nice little range of heads. You've got 5 valises, which are the packs, which we're missing on the Zulu War one. But we have them here. We've got a selection of arms. I've just put a couple of them on, or 3 of them on there, so you can see what they look like. Also in the box are 2 command sprues. Now each of these contains 2 officer figures and 1 figure that seems to be an ordinary infantryman. Again, all of the standard head options, plus an extra head in the pigged officer's cap. You've got no end of arms here. You've got 2 pistols, you've got 2 swords, plus 2 scabbarded swords. So if you are going to use them with the arm with the sword already attached, then you would need to cut the hilt off that. You've got a standard pole, you've got drummer arms complete with a drum, you've got a bugle, and you've got my personal favourite one in sort of tucked away in all the little odds and ends like the map, the binoculars, an arm actually in a sling, which is a lovely personality type one. You've also got a dog on there, which I'll explain a bit more about later on. You also have in the box a set of bases, the standard Rendra bases, which I haven't bothered showing. They're just the standard ones. I've not used them because I want to base mine up for skirmish gaming. You've also got the leaflet, which is always a welcome addition to any of the Perry Miniatures box sets. It talks about what the troops would be equipped with in the different wars. It also mentions the Third Anglo-Burmese War, which wasn't mentioned on the box. It's got, as you can see, 4 sets of colours, both regimental and Queen's, so you have the information for that, and of course the usual assembly information there. So very nice, simple instructions, which also show you a couple of little painting guides. Now, compared to the Zulu War box, I don't think this is quite as good a value. You're down 2 figures already. 2 figures isn't a huge amount, but they're the casualty figures, which I do actually like. I think they're quite useful. If you play the Men Who Would Be Kings, they make really nice pin markers, so I will miss them from this. There's also nothing to replace the heliograph, which was a really lovely bit of kit. It's possible you can swap a few bits and pieces round, like the drum or the bugle into the Zulu War set. It'd probably be a case of cutting the hands off and refitting them because the sleeves are different, but that's not beyond most models. Even I could manage that one, in all fairness. So Not quite as good, but still a really, really nice box of figures. So a box of figures for this is good value for money. There's a nice set in it, and 36 isn't a bad number because that works out nicely as 3 units if you play the Men Who Would Be Kings by Osprey Games. Lovely set of rules, and I've got effectively a small starter army just by buying one box. The only downside is I've got an extra officer figure in one of the units as opposed to an ordinary infantryman. I don't think that's going to cause too many issues, plus it's always an excuse to buy more figures. Now, alternatively, I could use them for In Her Majesty's Name, another set of rules I like, and one box would give you more than a full army's worth there, even without buying all the steampunk upgrades that are available in the set of rules. Now, I mentioned the dog earlier, which are 2 in the box set. They're based on the dog Bobby, who belonged to a sergeant in the 66th Berkshire Regiment. Now, during the Battle of Maiwand, the 66th formed the rear guard, and the incident of their last stand is portrayed on the box cover. The dog itself survived and was actually presented to Queen Victoria. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with mine yet. I think one is probably going to end up based with an officer figure. It just looks right there. Whereas the second one, and any more that I acquire, I can see joining the halfling militia that I bought previously and becoming Farmer Maggot's dogs. So, useful little thing to have in the box set. My force, when I actually finish building it, is going to get painted up for another conflict which isn't mentioned on the box, which is from Space 1889, and is going to be used in the conflict against the Martians. I somehow think these will look better rather than the red-jacketed figures on Mars. I just think it'll just give a nice touch, and I'm going to use some of the Games Workshop Martian Iron Earth to do the bases to get that lovely cracked effect. I think that's going to look quite nice. Hopefully you found the review useful. If you have, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what else you'd like to review so that I can look at picking some more figures up